Hello, everyone, and welcome back. For those who are able to join us, I will wait a little bit until everybody comes in. The participants. So it's been a long day. It's been a stressful day. And I guess it's a day filled with learning experiences. So for starters, I'd like to welcome everybody who's joining us in this afternoon session. We're waiting for our panel to get complete. And meanwhile, I'd like to reflect very briefly about what happened in the morning. Today, we started our panel, first one at 10 a.m. Dubai time. It was amazing. We had quite a substantive number of attendees, and we were looking forward to an amazing conference. Unfortunately, because of the fortunate situation that we had a large number of participants and attendees, there were technical issues in the breakout rooms for the conference sessions. And the thing is, this is what technology is all about. And I believe this is where we need to make strong decisions, executive decisions. And mind you, for anybody who's in the education sector, you all know that we take executive decisions every day from the first moment we enter the classroom until the bell rings, or actually until we get home and finish. So realistically speaking, the decision was to switch the sessions to asynchronous. I've asked the the presenters to record the sessions, share with us. We'll be posting them on the community for everybody's benefit. By watching them and communicating there, you'll get your certificates of attendance. And I think it's the biggest lesson for anybody who's asking, will technology take the place of the teacher and the human being? Again, time and time again, we're having experiences which tell us there's no letting go of the importance of the human factor and the human element. So I will start by welcoming everybody, all the attendees, and I'll start by welcoming Mr. Hatem. Mr. Hatem Radwan, I'll give a very brief introduction, which brief will take quite a long time. Mr. Hatem, I've known him for 13 years now.
Almost, yeah.
And here's Dr. Mounir. Welcome, Dr. Mounir. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, guys?
All good. I've started the introductions, and Mr. Hatem, I've known him for 13 years. His journey, I really invite you to watch the spotlight. If you know Arabic, watch the spotlight we had with Mr. Hatem, because there are a lot of food for thought. Mr. Hatem started with teaching, moved to the industry and the corporate sector with technology integration. Do you mind offering a very brief overview?
Yes, definitely. Thank you for the introduction. But before I start, I would like to echo what you have said. You already told us the recap of the day. Definitely, we cannot survive without the human with the technology together. And definitely, everything shared today was very insightful, and hopefully we can share today more. As Dr. Rana said, I started as a teacher, and always I introduced myself as an educator. I moved into the education technology sector, and this is where I started with engagement with Dr. Rana 13 years back. And my journey started with Edmodo, then moved into NetDragon as education strategy director. I started fully working outside the classroom 2 years back, but my work with education technology started around 7 years back. This is where I met iConnect, and I built all these connections, and which led me here actually with Dr. Mounir and Dr. Rana today.
Yeah, hala. Dr. Mounir is somebody I had the privilege of meeting maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Before the COVID, we met before the COVID, and we worked together on several projects. And Dr. Mounir has the teaching background with a teacher preparation, higher university, like higher education, and currently delving big time into AI with a background of STEM education. So Dr. Mounir, the floor is yours for a quick intro.
Yes, thank you for inviting me to EduBridge's conference. This is a nice, it should be a nice experience. Yes, I am a teacher educator with over a decade of experience in training teachers. I'm also a certified AI prompt engineer from Learn Prompting, an entity of researchers, AI researchers who work in collaboration with OpenAI, the research lab behind ChatGPT. And I'm excited to share my experience and make it relatable.
Awesome.
Blend both my teaching experience with my AI knowledge and share this some insights with our audience today.
Thank you. Thank you. And what I will take the opportunity to mention something very briefly. In the morning, we had the panel discussion, which focused on what are the current gaps that we have in the education sector and how can we bridge them in order to get to a better future through education. And there were a variety of gaps that were presented from different perspectives. The most important of which included definitely the technology literacy or the literacy, edtech literacy. There was the communication between stakeholders, the willingness to work together, and bottom line, by the end of the day, by the end of the session, we were presenting that it's not a simple set of gaps, but it can be done through the passionate educators who can come together in all forms of education, not necessarily teaching as education. There are different stakeholders which can come together in order to make a better future, and we cannot wait. We need to work from now on all levels to make sure that we are preparing our students for the future and the future workforce. Now, this session is about particularly AI. What are the opportunities that it is providing us to help bridge these gaps between individuals, whether they are students, parents, teachers, policymakers, and all the hundreds of job roles that we have in the teaching context? So, Dr. Mounir, would you like to start with telling us what are some of the gaps you think AI in particular is capable of addressing?
Sure. So regarding this question, AI and especially generative AI, it can help address some of the biggest gaps in education, actually. This includes gaps such as teacher burnout, student engagement, inclusivity, assessment, and personalized learning. Let's start with personalized learning. AI adapts lessons in real time based on each student's progress. This ensures these students are neither bored nor overwhelmed. AI also provides instant feedback on quizzes, on assignments. Needless to say, this helps students understand and improve immediately. In my experience as a teacher educator, I know how hard it is for teachers to meet the needs of every student, especially in diverse classrooms.
Definitely.
Yeah. AI also helps in generating personalized practice problems, for example. It frees up teachers to focus more on students. AI also enhances student engagement. It does so by generating videos, by generating quizzes, by generating other content that match various learning styles. This keeps students interested and make lessons more dynamic. For teachers, AI can automate tedious tasks like drafting assignments, planning lessons, and even organizing school events. Definitely, this saves time. It reduces teachers' workload. It helps prevent teacher burnout, as I just said. How? By easing the daily pressures of teaching. We all know that this is an all-time challenge in our field. AI also can help in assessment.
Yes.
Actually, it revolutionizes assessment. It can generate test items so quickly, and it can even customize assessments based on each student's performance, offering insights into areas for improvement and designing personalized learning paths. How amazing is this?
Yeah.
We all know that instant feedback on tests helps students learn faster and helps students learn more effectively. Finally, AI promotes inclusivity as well. It does so by developing resources for students learning new languages, for students with disabilities, for students needing extra support. Personalized learning plans ensure every student gets the attention they need to succeed. By leveraging this technology, we can offer a more dynamic and supporting learning environment for all students. We're speaking gaps. The gap between theory and practice is literally bridged this time. I have spent over 10 years training teachers, and I kept hearing that many of the theories and teaching models that we promote at Teachers College are hard to implement in real classrooms. And the main issues are lack of time, lack of resources, and the large number of students from diverse backgrounds. But now, with AI, I believe this can finally change. Soon, we must be able to work less and teach more. Thank you.
This is amazing, Dr. Mounir. I can see Hatem clapping under.
Actually, you said it all. So
the interesting thing is that you touched base on each and everything that was mentioned in the morning session with regards to the gaps in one point or the other. The questions that we received from the participants in the morning regarding how can we help the burnout or how can we work on individualized planning. So this is excellent points from the perspective of somebody who's a teacher.
Who was a teacher, who is a teacher educator, and who is an AI prompt engineer. This is why I was so excited to share my insights in using this stage.
Awesome. And we are going to ask, because still, with all of these advantages, individuals will still fear and worry about the technology part. So we're going to get to that because that's extremely important, I guess, in order to enable teachers. I'm not going to say the big terms of embracing, but making use of it properly. We need to talk about that. So, but before we talk about that, I'd like to take Hatem's insights from your perspective as the teacher and the corporate person now.
Definitely.
Which gaps do you think we can?
First of all, I do agree with what Mounir said, but always I like to look at challenges, look at fears. I like to give teachers something that they can use and think about. AI, I don't see it as a tool that we can take it and think about it as something that has a catalog that we can learn how to use it. So yes. I think from all what Dr. Mounir said, I have one word just came to my mind is diversity versus unity or versus consistency. So one aspect I would like to speak about is curriculum rigidity. Despite all the flexibility and the approach of having personalized learning and differentiated instruction, one part as a teacher I was struggling with is teachers are expected to deliver a diverse lesson for diverse students of different backgrounds, different learning styles. But at the end of the day, they do have one book, and this book maybe comes with one lesson plan and one approach. And when it comes to looking at the bigger picture, it's very difficult to change the curriculum because it's set, it's written, and it's kind of a policy thing where if we need to upgrade it, it's a national thing. That's why I see there is a big value in addition to what Dr. Mounir said, when we think about how we make this curriculum more flexible and how we turn around it, but keep the context of the curriculum. And this is where I break it down into different aspects or different levels based on the teacher journey. So if I think about myself when I was a teacher, what is my journey? And we call it in corporate means the user journey. If I'm the user, whether I'm a teacher or a student, I start with preparing the content of the lesson. Yes, I do have the book. Yes, I do have the curriculum, but I don't have the approach to make this something deliverable. So this is where we see AI can fit wherever the teacher wants it to be fitting. That's why it's not just a tool, it's a need. So it's very important before we look at what is the gap, every teacher must identify their own need. Where exactly you need AI? And I had a workshop around 3 weeks back with teachers speaking about AI. And I had a question at the beginning. Do we need to use AI, and why we need to use AI? And honestly, I didn't get two similar answers, because every teacher is looking for a challenge. Every teacher has their own needs. So one of the gaps I think we can fill with AI is definitely filling these needs, which we cannot mention. It's a lot, from one class to another, from one culture to another, from one area to another. There is a lot. So I think understanding that we need to understand the need, and this is where we can start saying, yes, AI can help me in that need, whether preparing the lesson, whether delivering the lesson, and definitely after the lesson, which is, as Dr. Mounir said, the assessment, the feedback, and all these stages. But at some point, I can say that 10% adoption of AI, effective 10%, will be much more better than changing everything using AI, which is going to burn everything. So keeping the curriculum, let's not use enhancing, using AI in order to move around it, diversify the lesson, understanding the needs. This will be a good approach. Speaking about in-classroom use, definitely.
Thank you, Hatem. A very interesting point and a very important point, I guess, for all teachers, and whichever subject matter area they teach in, this is a big challenge that we have. And particularly that in education, whether it is school level or university level, changing a curriculum has a cycle of its own that pushes you to, like, by the time you change a curriculum, you have a new group of students, like a new generation. Yes?
I mean, by the time it's ready to be published, it needs to be changed.
Exactly. And you have a totally new generation working with you over there. So in a way, what both of you are mentioning is extremely important. And as you were talking, I couldn't but reflect about when I was in the classroom as a teacher in the K-12, which was quite a long time ago. It's everything I wished I have in support for me as a teacher to achieve my dream lesson is now available. Is that true? Or am I just dreaming and hallucinating?
I would say
both.
I would say it is true, but at the same time, too much sometimes is less.
Okay, that's a point that I want to comment on.
But, you know, I'm imagining it like putting a teacher with hundreds of tools around them, hundreds of approaches, and expecting to be creative. I think this is too much, and they will spend a lot of time exploring. That's why this is where we start thinking about the guidance of where we use AI, not leaving the teacher alone, exploring and giving us every day something creative.
Extremely important. And I want to comment, and then I'll give you the opportunity, Dr. Mounir, if that's okay. Just one thing, because it's so interesting, Hatem, that you are saying this. As somebody who's been working on research, meta-analysis, and systematic reviews specifically with regards to technology integration and technology in the classroom and using it with students, we have multiple studies that are systematic reviews and meta-analyses. I'm not talking about one study, that definitely indicate and prove that the moment that you try to do everything with technology, like the moment you start throwing the video and the audio and the PowerPoint and the breakout rooms, when you put everything together, people lose it and the students lose more than they gain. And when you don't use it, the same thing happens. Moderation is extremely important. And it's very interesting that you're mentioning that, because research is definitely in support of that idea. Yes, Dr.
I'm so happy that you brought up this point. It's really central. And actually, to answer this question, we need a course.
Okay, yes.
Basically,
Okay.
basically, my upcoming course, upcoming course, which I named AI Simplified for Teachers by Teachers, it's built on this question. It's built
Okay.
to answer this question. The short answer to your question, and again, it's very essential, very central. The answer is for a teacher to make proper use of AI, or in other words, for AI to enhance and improve teaching. The teacher must go through three learning stages. First, they need to understand the nature of AI. Second, they need to have some technical expertise for how to speak with AI, to communicate with AI. I know as teachers, we are good communicators. This is why we are teachers, but there are
sometimes it falls, all of us, sometimes it falls because we know how to communicate on occasions with the students. We don't know how to communicate with the parents.
This is what I was about to say. But in order to communicate with this machine, there's a set of skills that you need to learn so that you can get what you want from it. And the third learning level is how to safely introduce AI into your classroom. So the answer is really threefold here. You need to understand what this technology is all about, what it can offer, what are the side effects and drawbacks. You need to know how to communicate with it, and then introduce it into your classroom, but while considering things like media literacy, AI literacy, and other things as well.
I want to argue a little bit here.
Go ahead.
Definitely framing it in this way, it's the right way. I do agree, but at some point I feel that the trial and error thing with technology, the taking the risk sometimes is helpful, not for everyone. I agree. When I was a teacher, actually, I introduced a lot of technologies to my classrooms. Let me say most of them worked out. But to be honest, I spent hours and hours trying and testing and making different accounts and see what works, what doesn't work. Definitely, this is not the approach we are speaking about, but this is, again, accessible. And this is one powerful thing of AI, that sometimes even you can ask AI to tell you how to use AI and it give you a good response. But again, as I'm saying, there must be an approach that we can teach teacher how to use it, a level of consistency, so that we can have an expectation about what's going on in every and each classroom. That's why framing it in this way, Dr. Mounir, definitely is right. But at the same time, teachers don't have to fear that I need to use AI, then I have to pass through a process. I think it's there. You have to go and try and check. There's a lot you can do, but just again, you have to devote time. And all teachers are burned out correcting and preparing lessons.
The process is there wherever the approach that you choose. You are going through a learning process anyway.
Definitely.
But a process differ from each other, right? There are certain more efficient processes than others.
Definitely.
Well, it's very interesting, this discussion or opinions about this aspect. And I go back to what you said, Hatem, earlier about diversity. And it was mentioned in the previous panel, there's no one size fits all. And there are different approaches. We have those, in my opinion, we have those risk takers. And it's always been the case with technology. You have the risk takers who are willing to jump into the deep end and practice and see, and they are the early adopters, what we say early adopters. And then you have those who are fearing, and going through this process allows them to get acquainted with it stepwise and slowly. And I believe with AI in particular, there's a cycle, the Gartner hype cycle. I think, Hatem, you might talk about it, but if you're going to talk about it, I'll keep this till later. Okay.
Go ahead. No, it's in the context.
Okay. According to the Gartner hype cycle, it is not a research-based cycle, but it is in the corporate sector. It's been there for a long time in the business field, and it highlights that every year they they publish where each new technology falls in the cycle. They argue that each technology starts with a big hype. There is something, oh, wow, this is amazing. And everybody uses it, but everybody, like, it is the big thing, exactly what's happening with AI. Everybody's happy. And then it goes like, oh my God, it's not giving us what we want. And it goes down the use. There is, they call it the trough of disillusionment. And then there is those individuals who are still working with it, and then we get to the point that it is plateauing, where plateau of maturity. So the idea is, in AI at the present time, we are on the big hype as teachers. In the industry and the corporate sector, they're already falling down. They're already seeing that AI is not what it promised yet. So it depends on how you're going to use it. But the most important thing, I want to go back now to Mounir. You're saying,
this
what
was
do you
my
think?
point. Yeah, exactly. This was my point to Mr. Hatem, is that back to the process. If you follow an efficient process that is based on what we know about how people learn, and you apply it to this to learning how to deal with this technology, then you must get there fast and quickly. So if you're going to jump and start through the trial and error, maybe you'll get there, but this is an inefficient process. You might end up disregarding it because you're getting inappropriate output. And that's not because of the technology. That's because of the user. That's because of the user does not know the nature of this technology. That this technology, for example, it follows neural computation and not symbolic computation. So as a math teacher, if I'm going to ask Gen AI, for example, to solve this long multiplication problem for me, it's going to give me something that is completely wrong. Even if I teach it the steps, step by step, and even if it seems to be following my steps, it will give me a wrong answer. Why? Now, if I am not educated about the nature of this technology, I will disregard it completely. But if I know that this technology is based on neural computation, and what I'm asking it is to go through symbolic computation, like the case of long multiplication, then I would know that there's no way for it to give me a correct answer unless I plug it in with another system, and I have a combo system like a calculator, and then things start working. See, again, if I go through the trial and error, I may end up disregarding the technology because I'm not educated enough about it.
Yeah, I do agree that, and definitely you are reflecting mainly or focusing on ChatGPT or OpenAI or prompt engineering. My response to that was, in general, I'm not only speaking about the use of ChatGPT. I'm thinking about different applications. Maybe one of the applications I use in my presentations is AI avatar, and other applications might be some gamified learning. So let me call it, it's a gallery where teachers can pick, but definitely the process, when we think even at a bigger level, bigger impact, especially when we speak about public sector, we speak about teacher training, definitely there is an approach. And this is why we do have research. This is why we do have people like Torana and yourselves preparing this approach, so that teachers don't have to go to an island and think about what they want to do. There is a way, there is an approach, they don't have to be lost. But again, I'm saying from my own experience, everything is accessible. If someone feels that they can take the risk and try, they can try. And I believe that there is a lot of creativity can be done with thinking outside or deviation from research or from frames or processes.
I have, No, go ahead, Mounir.
The room is wide for trying. The room with AI is really wide here. But this is only a concern for me. I just don't want a teacher to lose this opportunity just because they tried it once or twice without, someone helping them out. It's an inquiry process, by the way. But my call here is don't make it an open inquiry. Make it something that is a bit guided. That's my point.
I think both of you are saying the same thing from different perspectives. And
Maybe.
actually, this is what's nice about these panels, because everybody's coming from a different perspective, giving their opinion. And listening to both of you, it's very interesting because you're both embodying each other's opinions. And I'll tell you how. Dr. Mounir, pre-ChatGPT, did you ever think that you will be this, or not pre-ChatGPT, a couple of years ago, did you think you'll be this involved in AI?
How would I be involved in something that does not exist?
Well, AI existed for quite a long
time. I mean Gen AI.
Okay, yes.
Gen AI has been way back, yeah. But
okay, my question.
Gen AI. Yeah.
Okay, my question is Gen AI. Did you take one course or did you start diving into it, exploring because of your motivation to understand it? And I think that is where what Hatem was also saying regarding the person who wants to find, and this is also a call for everybody around who's listening to us, those who are interested in making use of Gen AI properly will search for how to get it better, including getting your course. Because getting to understand and learn, there's a lot of that self-motivation, which was discussed in the morning about we need to work on ourselves and move forward. There needs to be that push. Now, that being said, I want to move it towards, like, as you were talking, I thought of two sides. There's the front and the soft. Like, I'm an educational technologist. Everybody thinks I work with wires and computers back when I started it. It's not that. I'm an educational technologist working on the technology of designing education. The same thing when we talk about the use of AI, I think there are different levels of usage. There's the front end soft part, and then there is the deeper end of the pool, and then there is the deepest end of the pool. Now, you want to say something, Mounir?
As you said, I imagine myself in one place and Mr. Hatem on the other side. So, we make a system. So I'm on the prompt engineering and user.
Totally.
The user side, and he's on the other side.
Totally. And then there's another thing, and I want to bring it back to what gaps it can help us cover or bridge. We said, at least what I understood from the earlier part was, it's sort of a support and assistant that can enable you and empower you to do much more in less time. It can allow you to look at things differently. You have to understand how to ask it in order for it to give you. Now, with that in mind, is it equally, let me rephrase, is the knowledge, because we said the different levels of users, is the knowledge needed to fill these gaps through AI the same for all types of issues or problems? And I'll make it simple by taking the example of subject matter rather than taking bigger issues. Hatem, you mentioned that it can be very helpful for me in curriculum. Will I need, as a teacher, the same understanding to use it to modify a geography curriculum versus to use it and implement it within math or science? Does the scope of the problem make a difference?
I would say definitely it's not the same use as we said. Definitely there is lot of there is, let me call it, around 2 years of working with AI, lot of good outcomes that maybe will brought by people like Dr. Mounir, who can just give us a simple process where we can reach a good outcome. I would say as a teacher, when I want to use AI, maybe this is going to be limited to the data I have. And this is one thing I wanted to talk about in the context, which is the data analysis and what type of data we are using for AI. So as a teacher, it depends what exactly I need from AI. I need just to limit to the lesson. So I need to relate it to the lesson curriculum, lesson plan. Or I think as a coordinator or subject matter expert, do I have to think about the broader yearly plan, cross-curricular activities, etc. That's why I think it's definitely it's not the same. Depends on what outcome I need from AI. I need to understand how to use it, and there is definitely a process that will shorten the way instead of going back and forth and trying. But the point I was making is always there is the chance of people not waiting to take or to learn, to start themselves. Maybe they can find something they can start implementing. But today, I think at some point it's an opportunity. Definitely, it's an opportunity for everyone connecting with us, watching us, to start searching and maybe connecting with Dr. Mounir about what is the proper way. This is how we start 1, 2, 3, 4. As a teacher, I think it's a simple process, but it can be learned definitely.
There was something that you had something to say. Sorry.
No. Thanking him for
There was something that was mentioned a bit earlier, Dr. Mounir. You said something about we need to know what AI is capable of. And this is part of the discussion. I'm going to ask a question, tabling it, not aiming to answer it at the present time, because I don't think anyone can answer. What can AI completely do and not do? It is still an evolving thing. Is it or not?
Well, we can have a list of the do's and the don'ts, but I think it's a growing list.
Okay, excellent way of putting it, growing list. I like that. So with these gaps that we're trying to fill, again, it's a growing list of things that we can make use of AI for. I can easily see a leader in a school automating a lot of the nitty-gritty communication and aspects that are cumbersome in order to free time for better things. But this comes with other problems. The question of two questions that came in the chat. They come with, this support comes with challenges. Can you give us some of the challenges? Already two of the attendees mentioned the fear from taking the place of teacher and the ethical considerations when it comes to academic integrity. Do you want to reflect on these two and then go to others? Or do you want to mention something else and then come to this? Your call.
So was this a...
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So challenges with making use of it.
Now regarding the first point, will AI replace the teacher? This was a question, right?
Question that was given is, in your opinion, as a respected panelist, will AI become the teacher and the teacher the assistant?
The short answer is that AI is not here to replace. AI is here to assist.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to speak about some of the different groups that need to work together so that we really get AI to work and assist us.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a machine by the end that is run by human beings. So we need to collaborate together in order to get the most out of AI.
Good point.
And if I would start thinking about what do I mean by we, who we need to work together, I can think of teachers, I can think of AI developers, I can think of policymakers, I can think of school leaders, teacher educators, parents, all of us. It's up to all of us to work.
How about students?
And the students as well. Exactly. It's up to all of us to work together in order to make this technology as an assistant not only for the teacher, an assistant for the student, an assistant for the parent, an assistant for the admin, for every stakeholder in the educational field. Teachers, let me give you some examples. Teachers should work with AI developers. Teachers should work with AI developers in order to test AI tools and make sure that AI tools solve real classroom problems. Teachers also need to share their experiences with AI so that school leaders would make better decisions about how to better invest in AI.
Mm-hmm.
Students, as you just mentioned, students as well. Students should give feedback on how AI tools are affecting their learning. This helps the teachers to pick the right tools so that they can meet students' personal needs, making learning more personalized, making learning more engaging. Policymakers and school leaders should team up to gather data on how AI is working in schools and make sure it follows privacy rules, which is a big concern. Policymakers should set rules that tackle issues like unequal access to technology. School leaders need to make sure these rules are followed. Parents as well can play a role in making it an efficient assistant. How? They must be informed by school leaders about how AI is used in their children's education. This builds trust. This builds trust and helps and supports the use of AI at home as well, not only at school. So even I'm thinking of teacher education programs because I've spent years there. Teacher education programs play an essential role in preparing teachers to work confidently with AI, the process that we were just speaking about. These programs need to provide future teachers with the skills to integrate AI into their classrooms. This training includes training teachers how to design effective AI-supported lessons, how to assess students using AI tools, and how to manage potential challenges like misinformation, like bias, like abuse of AI outputs. So educating teachers about AI during their training ensures that they are well prepared to unlock the potential of AI from day one.
Excellent points that you are mentioning, and it resonates totally with what was mentioned in the morning about the need for the different stakeholders to be talking with each other, the communication component. And as I said in the morning, marketing plug-in, EduBridges, that's the idea behind it. It is not targeting teachers or policymakers or whatnot. Anybody who is in education, interested in having a discussion and a dialogue, we need places where we talk with each other. And exactly. I believe that when I first started in educational technology was one side and the education was totally another side. The concept of bringing these two together was not there. I believe one of the silver linings we had in COVID And when I say technology was on one side, even the technology companies did not consider education as a key player to modify and design according to our needs. What happened with the COVID, it sort of forced those companies to listen. And this is where I want to bring it back to Hatem, because from your experience as a teacher who went now with the industry as an education director, how much do you find that the companies are starting to listen to what the teachers have to say and your input as an educator?
Definitely. But let me first go back to your question about the challenges, because I had a comment I didn't want to miss, and whether the AI, whether it's going to replace teachers. No. I think if there are no more physical school, we can start thinking about no teachers. But I think the teacher is a main component of the whole educational body, and we cannot imagine until now the absence of the teacher from the whole picture, because I think AI, I see it as it supports in the operational side. It supports in supporting this operation, but the main operator is the teacher. Definitely. The teacher we are speaking about isn't the teacher who used to teach, if I speak about myself 10 years back. A teacher who is well equipped with this technology, speaking about digital literacy, media literacy, understanding it, will outstand among the other teachers. No question about that. But this fear of AI replacing teachers, and I've seen this question going a lot in interviews and a lot of things. I don't think that it's a valid question we have to keep asking, because AI won't replace a doctor. But even though robots, and already there are machines doing operations, but still the doctor is there. So the trust in human intelligence still is big. And I think the combination between human intelligence and artificial intelligence can give the brilliant, the best outcome. This is just to answer this question. Yeah.
And I'll just follow up on this with something very quick. There is somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody said, if a teacher is replaceable by AI, they need to be replaced. Because it all depends on how you see yourself. If you are a presenter of information only, then yes, AI can present online. But I never see myself as an educator, as somebody who just delivers knowledge. There are so many more dimensions. And this is key to anybody who's fearing. Have faith in what you're bringing, because nobody, like no technology can bring what we as humans can bring, COVID being a case in point. So back to you, Hatem. Sorry.
And this is exactly one of the challenges I want to mention, which is media literacy and digital literacy. And I think this is one of the reasons that we are having this panel, and hopefully in the future more discussions about how to use AI, because the challenge is if we don't know how to use it. So I think at some point we need to go back to our classrooms and say, do we actually need to use AI right now? Are we ready to use it? Because if we are not ready, we don't have to mess the flow. I've been teaching for 14 years, and every year was different a little bit from the other year. But whenever I add a small input, I try to measure its impact. And this is the big challenge when it comes to the other part of AI, not the operational one, not the one when we speak about data analysis, when we speak about learning management systems and grading. All of these, definitely there is great impact and we can see it. But when we come to the in-class, front of class teaching and learning, whatever we bring to the class, we need as educators to think about the impact. And for me, I don't see the impact as only the grades. And this is the unfortunate fact that we used to have when I was a teacher, looking at students' grades. Maybe there is much more we need to check when using technology or any other strategy. And this is why I think we need to evaluate as teachers. And this is something, I think it's relative. It differs from one classroom to another. What impact this is bringing to our classrooms? Is there a positive impact? Definitely there is. Definitely there is. And that's why in AI, teachers can start thinking outside the box, can start bringing things that raise the students' interest. And one of the examples I want to share very quickly here, if a teacher starting the year with 20 new students who didn't meet before, imagine how much different interests you have, how much different backgrounds you have. Maybe I'm a biology teacher, I was a biology teacher, and I have a lot of students in my class who are not interested in science, but maybe they are interested with sports. If I try to bring this data from the students by a survey at the beginning, and this is something I tried, and bring this data, feed it to AI, and definitely this is something we can teach students how to do that. When they take this data, feed it to AI, and ask the AI to support me in giving a lesson that makes more sense to the students with the same context. For example, and this is where we go deep into personalized learning, because
Excellent.
I cannot store all this data here. I cannot remember after 2 or 3 months that Ali is very interested in Barcelona and sports, but the AI will remember. So if I know how to use AI for my favor, I can make it an assistant to myself, definitely. This will fit well in this context. And later on, after 4 months, I would say, Ali is no longer interested in my classroom. I have this class about this. I need an example that grabs his attention. AI will bring it and will remember that Ali is more interested in sports. So this is, I think, where we have to think about AI more than a teaching tool, a strategy, more into data that as humans, we cannot store all here, but the machine can. And this is where I think machine learning can do a lot. And that's why, going back to the point that yes, there is a lot of learning we need to think about. And this is why companies definitely, they started as Dragon, we've been working with the universities on building large language models, because let me say, the rush to open AI is non-stoppable. And there is a big fear, and many countries, they stopped ChatGPT at the beginning because they were afraid how this is going to impact and change our operations. Because again, we are thinking about classroom, but when we think about decision makers, policy making, the story is different. If you want to implement one more thing, it has to go through a process and testing and measuring the impact. So there is a lot of hidden parts, I would say, but definitely there is much more progress in building educational AI. So one of the things that companies are doing, mainly educational companies, is working with universities to build a kind of educational AI that can make the challenges minimum in terms of reliability, in terms of bias, in terms of credibility of information. And I think this is the approach moving forward. We are still at the beginning in that.
Mounir, do you want to say something?
No, I was happy with
أحسنت عافاك وأحسنت. The idea is, as you were talking, Hatem, in a way, with technology, it's always at the first something that we all fear. And I think we can continue talking about this for, as Mounir said earlier on, a whole course will not be enough to cover one. It's still evolving, growing, and whatnot. But one thing that we need to keep in mind is, like all technologies, it starts very complicated and very frightening, and with time it becomes more usable. We can reflect on the older telephones in the long days where they needed a switchboard because a regular human being who was not trained could not actually make use of a telephone. Or the elevator, they needed a person to just click the elevator. And then the technology became more user-friendly, more ubiquitous. It applies to all technologies that we have. And I can see that already starting to happen with the multiple applications that we have out there that create, at the present time now, you don't need to go to ChatGPT to create your customized special needs, special learning. You have an application that you can own. You don't have to worry about the backside. So I think it's an amazing time that we are embarking on. And we have 5 minutes to finish this session because I'm very aware of everybody's time, although لا يمل, and I would love to continue. But before we leave, anything that you would like to add? And there's a question from Rami Saibi. I'm not sure if anybody would like to touch on that. The costly infrastructure and the impact on the digital divide that we might get with the students because of this.
Excellent point. Thank you for bringing up, but actually, this is only one of the concerns, and I would ask the permission to go for mentioning not only this but other ones as well. Yes, there are concerns. Some of these concerns are ethical, but we need to think about them in order to avoid making existing gaps even bigger. I mean, since the context is all about bridging gaps. So one is digital inequality. Another is a bias in AI systems. A third is over-reliance on AI. One that I'm really concerned about is the teacher awareness about what AI can offer for students. Let's talk about the first concern, which is about digital inequality. Yes, AI can help with personalized learning, but not all students have access to the technology they need. Students from poorer backgrounds might not have devices, and if they have devices, they might not have good internet connections. And if AI tools are needed for assignments, then these students could fall behind. I don't think we can say that there is to answer the question, I don't think there is a foreseeable way to bridge this gap. Because by the end of the day, you need the financial support to build a strong infrastructure. Yes, you can narrow this gap, but I don't think that we can really bridge it everywhere we go.
And to comment on this very quickly, because I've been working with different governments and public sectors, and this is the main concern they are working on in their budgets for education, how to bridge the digital gap. Because what's going on in technology is changing the education environment and ecosystem. But definitely, as governments and as decision makers, they have to make sure that this is the first challenge they have to oversee. And this is exactly what I think governments are looking at when we think about digital transformation. The first one isn't having panels and technology. They had that during COVID. They want to have accessible technology everywhere. And definitely this can be solved, I don't think, very soon. But I don't think that we do have to worry about it a lot, as there is a lot of decision makers worrying already about it.
It will always be there. It will always be there. If your concern is about whether you have enough room to host this number of students, then if this problem is not solved, then definitely we're way off speaking about whether we can afford AI or some technologies.
Excellent points. And I'd like to add one thing, that parallel to the fear of the digital divide and the concern about that, we have to also remember that AI will allow us to reach more students on another front. So realistically speaking, it's a yin and yang. When we first started with mobile devices, the telephones, everybody considered it to be really a cause for a digital divide. But realistically speaking, so many areas and regions in Africa and in places that they don't have telephone connections and whatever, they were able to get to them and give them proper education through mobile devices. There are multiple initiatives that took place in the maybe 10 or 15 years ago that used mobile devices to reach students in these rural areas. So realistically speaking, there is concern on one side, there's opportunity on the other. The more we learn about it, the more we'll be able to benefit from it. As I said, it's an amazing discussion. I really feel bad that I'm gonna say goodbye. But with this, I'm asking everyone who's attending today and everybody who watches this video, you can continue the discussion, because the aim of this conference is not a one-off presentation. It's to start the discussion and to learn from each other. You can continue the communication and discussion in the community, in the EduBridges community. Looking forward to seeing you all there, and really, really, really thank you, Dr. Mounir, Mr. Hatem, for a wonderful discussion and insights.
Thank you, Dr. Anna.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you for having us.
Thank you. All the best.
Bye.